once again with another prompt for our Junk Journal January, day 7, and the prompt is stitched. And today we are again working in this journal, my Junk Journal January journal, and we're going to continue on following along with whatever page happens to come up for us, and that will be this one. I have a plate that I used in a couple videos ago for a palette, and if you remember, if you've been following me, and if not, there's a link below for my playlist. You'll see where I put out way too much blue ink on my palette and it just spread everywhere. Well, I want to use this palette today as a flip out. Or yes, this paper plate palette as a flip out. But before we get to that part, I have these two pages here, and I want to add some journaling space on both of them, plus of course stitching on both of them. I thought about covering them both up with some coffee stained copy paper, but the colors on this go along with my color scheme. So I think I'm just going to do some gesso on both of them, and that can dry while we're working on the other part of our project here. So I'm going to take my gesso and just a card and dip it in there and get some paint on it. And I don't want to totally lose all this color down here. And I just kind of want to make it all blend in together and make it so that it is able to be journaled on. And the same over here. Now this one doesn't have that much color that would interfere with journaling. I think with a black pen we would still be able to see it, okay? But I want it to kind of match the opposite page, so I'm going to go ahead and put this gesso on it anyhow. So there's a nice thin layer on both sides. This page won't be as easy to write on because it has bubbled up. It's one of those pages out of an old book, and it bubbled up with some heat when I was doing the opposite side. So it'll give me a little bit of trouble, but it's still usable. We have that, and that can dry. And what I want to do, actually, I think I need to go ahead and dry this anyhow so that I can show you what I want to do here. That was a nice thin layer, so it didn't take very long. So to make this be a flip out, I'll have to have a hinge. So I'm going to take a piece of this paper here and use it for my hinge. So I can, let's see, I'll glue it to the top of the piece of paper, not the flap. The flap will eventually go in the book here, but I don't want to attach it yet because I'm going to sew on it. But I can attach my plate to here. So I'll do that with some tacky glue. And then I'll just take this paper plate to the fold on my piece of paper, and then I'll fold my piece of paper over top of that, and then that'll work as my hinge so that when it is glued down here, this will flap like this. It'll also be stitched on when I do my stitching. I want to set my book aside and do a little stamping over here. And I want to use my word stamp. And we're going to use our Forest Moss ink to stamp with. And just a little bit. Yeah, that'll be just enough. I'll show it here, bring it up after I get it done. And I'm just going to go randomly all over the piece of paper plate that we have. Okay, so you can see the script now on there. That helps that look a little bit better. How about we also add a little bit of our orange ink to it? And we decided that this orange is brighter, just a little bit. And we'll water that down. And I think probably maybe some here. There, that gives us enough of the orange ink. we'll just take this paper and sop some of this up. Maybe move it around a little bit. And then we'll take it and dry it. Now take my book also and add a little bit of the orange ink to my journaling pages here. And dry that. So if you know me and my style, you know that orange and blue really are not my colors, but I'm stepping out of the box here a little bit, getting brave, adding some different colors that I normally wouldn't add. Okay, and that's part of what this journal for me is all about, is stepping out, and you won't see quite as much of the three colors together, pink, brown, and green. But you'll see the green in the journal. How can you not put green in a journal? It seems like it's a color that just needs to be with everything. Okay, so on the back of here, I'm looking at that now thinking, all right, that also needs something put on it. So I think I'll take and stamp that up a little bit too. And it already has the orange and the blue on it, so I could actually use this for journaling space too. So I'll actually, once I stitch on it, I won't be able to. So I do have some items picked out as far as what I would probably want to put on this page. I had this one and then I added orange to that, so I really don't need that one. But I have the piece of fabric, matching fabric that we're using in our journal. And let's just see what else I might be able to find laying around here that we've been using that I could incorporate into this. There's some of another piece of that Mommy Gummy ledger paper left over. I like it when it has the printing on it. And if I would normally not use it on that way, I would use it on this way, the straight edge on the straight edge here. But I like the printing, so I'm going to, again, step outside the box and put that down there like that, and my fabric like that. And I would also have chosen to have the white edge on the bottom, but it's not going to work with that piece of fabric, so we'll just put it there like that. We should have some of this paper included, and maybe a piece of coffee stain paper. This one's very random. So we're looking like we've got quite a little collage going on there. It needs a focal point. Let's see what it looks like in our book. So if we put it on here like this, that looks pretty cool, right, guys? After I get the stitching on it, of course, it'll look cool. Oh, you know, I knew there was something missing on here. I don't have anything as far as nature. Really, not on this. So let's get rid of this and let's find something nature to put on here. I have some of my sketches, a couple of them here. I think if I cut them out, they would look okay. So let me get one cut out and then we'll see what we think. All right, so I have these two that I cut out right here. And let's see how we think they might play together with this. I like that one there. Probably not so much. I think I want this one here. And then I'll put this one like over here on this page coming down. Not in love with this. I don't know whether it's my collage. I think it was too much. It just looked like it was all piled on there and kind of a mess to me. So I think I'm going to go with it like more like that. Now I need to know, okay, do I want to do hand stitching or machine stitching? I think I'll do machine stitching to start with, but I probably will add some hand stitching in here. So I will take this to my sewing machine and get the stitching done on it that I would like to have done. And then I'll be back. All right, I ended up adding the piece of the orange Mommy Gummy paper down here. I couldn't decide what was wrong with it, what I didn't like about it. So I took some pictures with my phone. I don't know if you've ever done that or not before, but it's a good way to step back and take a look. And so I stepped back and I felt like this was still missing something. So I put this back on, and then I added this up here, and I'm like, okay, that's it. But now this paper needs some blue on it. So, but anyhow, I have this all stitched, and I don't know if you can see, I think you can, the crazy stitching that I did along it. And then I did 3 rows around the outside of the paper plate. So there's some crazy stitching. Now, I'm not sure if this is a wide enough hinge here to actually hold that. So I think what I'll do is I'll glue it down when I'm ready. I'll glue it down, and then I'll put some paper over it, collage a piece of paper over here, over it. I do want to keep this, I don't know, you really can't, I guess, journal on that because of all the stitching, but I'm not sure that I'm going to leave this all plain. But over here on this side, I want to ink everything up, and I've been doing that as I go along. I've been inking up edges. But let's get, for some reason, this little piece here, this little medallion speaks to me and says that it belongs here. I'm not sure if that's really true, but it after I took the photo of it, it didn't look bad, and it actually needed something more. So I'm gonna go with it. But let's get these inked up. First, I'm gonna have to lay down a little bit of blue ink on this page, because with all the blue that's on the opposite page, it wasn't complete without any blue on this page. And I'm trying to make them just kind of like flow together. So what it could really use is some print that would go from one side to the other. And this is the common print that is in this, but being that it's the whole page of this, I don't want to add more of this. This is some colors that are on it. Let me just see like how that would go down there. And then if this was here, you know, that would be okay. I don't know whether I'm making this harder on myself. I'm kind of liking that, but I feel like I need to even add maybe a little bit more. I wished I had more. I do have a little piece of the Momigami, and then that would go nicely there. That would kind of bring this over to here. That would be good. So we'll do that. And I'm using up my scraps. So my next page I'm going to have to come up with some more scraps. Now this would work here also. So I could add like this right up through the center of that, and then put this here, and then would open up and it'd be on both sides, along with this piece of ledger paper here. Yeah, I think I like to carry that over there like that. Let's get a little bit more blue ink, just a little bit of blue ink up here. So the blue that I had been using is Daler Rowney Processed Cyan, and we're just going to add like a drop. If I remember right, this is the blue that came out so much on my paper plate that I had blue absolutely everywhere. So I'm not going to squeeze it. I'm just going to try dropping a drop, maybe 2 drops there. Try not to overdo it. And then give it a squirt there. I don't think we overdid it. And let it run a little, and then I'll dry that. And then I think that'll show up behind. Yes, I'm beginning to like this even better now. So a nice thing about the inks is that it's not going to hinder being able to journal on it. Some of these pens, the little nibs on them, or like if they're like a gel pen or whatever, they get clogged. Like if you have crayons, or some of these mediums will ruin your pens. And the inks won't do that. As far as I know, they won't do that. So let me glue these papers down. I need to do the outside edge of this with some Distress ink here. A little bit of that on there. Yeah, as I work in a journal, as I go along, I tend to use the scraps that I have used from the page before. I keep the scraps on my table, and I try to go to them instead of tearing something new each time. Then in the end of my project, I don't have like this whole bunch of scraps. Now, yes, I still have some scraps, but I don't have as many as if I would if I kept tearing new pieces of paper and new pieces of paper. But it's time that we add some more papers to this. Okay, so that looks good. Let's glue these down. And this is a piece of index card. I had done up a whole bunch of papers, and if I can remember, I will link that for you in the bottom. But I had taken like a bunch of papers all at once, and I think that was in between Christmas and New Year's maybe that I worked on that, or maybe it was just before Christmas. But it was something to do that it didn't require any of my brain cells. I could just throw things together, and it was very relaxing anyhow. I didn't get them all done because of course, as I usually do, I end up doing too much, and I had more of a stack than what I had the attention span for, so they didn't all get done. But they're there, and I will get them finished at some point. That looks pretty down through there. Then I'll have to decide if I want to do more over here. It might be just enough peeking through that I don't have to do more over there. I'll get this piece of ledger paper down. This would have been easier, probably with a glue stick. Sometimes I have a hard time getting the glue stick to stick to this. This cleanup paper is what this is. It's the paper, my under paper that I have on my table that is here, that gets filled with ink and what have you. And then when it gets grungy enough, I take it and I finish it off. Call it my cleanup paper, but it's a butcher paper. If you haven't heard me say that before, it is a butcher paper, and it's not the waxy, the plastic coated. It's just a butcher paper, and sometimes my stuff doesn't want to stick to it. Okay, so I am liking that. And as far as this tail that I have here from my piece of fabric, I'm leaving it. I like that sticking out. I'm leaving it. And the strings, I'm not quite sure. I may leave them. Right now I'm leaving them because I don't know if I want them there or not. So if I don't know, then I leave them, and then I can always cut them off later. So now I have to decide whether my hinge is going to be enough of a hinge or whether I need to glue something over it. And I'm thinking I'm going to have to probably glue something over it. So let's just get it glued in place, and then we can let that set while we work on the upper corner up there. Yeah, that's not a big enough hinge. Now let's put it not all the way in the center of our book, just about like right there. Get that glued down. I got a little bit more up here to do. Yeah, and that kind of hid my papers coming over, except for this one down here. So we'll just let this rest here while we work on this corner up here now. And we are supposed to get snow this weekend, and as I just glanced out the window, it's here. We're supposed to get like maybe 4 inches of snow. This will be our first snow of this 2023-24 winter season. For us, I mean, other areas around us have had it, but all right. And so yes, that needed that blue. The blue looks great there. I like this there. We have some nature involved. I feel like it's more balanced as far as the colors go. Over on this side, I'm still undecided what to do. It has the colors I need, and there's lots of journaling space, so I may leave it. But up here, I want to take some embroidery floss and some brown thread. And I could use white or whatever, because that's actually, when I did the machine stitching, I used white over here, but I want the brown. I want the brown, and it's my journal, so I'm going to do brown. I am going to attach these pieces all together with some French knots right up here. I'm going to need my little foamy piece to poke some holes down in here, and I want 3 French knots. And then if that's not enough to hold all those pieces, I can either glue or I can add some more hand stitching to it. But to do a French knot, I just bring my needle up from the back, wrap the thread, and this is embroidery floss, 3-ply embroidery floss, around my needle and go back down through that hole. And it's being a little bit stubborn. It's because I ended up going through the knot. Who knew, right? On the other side. So there we go. I think we probably ruined our French knot. Yes, we did. So let's try this again. Our French knot is now here. Oh yeah, that was a good one. I'll try this again. So I'm going to come up through the hole. Everything shifted on me. And let's see if we can find all our holes. There's that hole. This hole, you know what, that's yellow. Let's turn that around. Why are we hiding that? So we're going to go up through this hole. And then this one. And then this one. And then when we go back down through, we're not going to go through that knot. So wrap it around 3 times, 3. And go back down through, making sure we missed the knot this time. There we go. Now, there's our French knot. So then we'll come back up through the other hole. And it looks like I'm going to have to just make it again. There we go. So I'm trying to think, okay, is there anything I really need to go to town for? Because the snow is here and it's supposed to last all day today and tomorrow. And it's coming down pretty good. Just a nice, quiet, like the kind of snow you'd want to be out in a sleigh going for a wintry ride in. Just a gentle, soft snow. Okay, so there's that one. Let's get our third one in here. One more. That actually makes that little medallion look like a flower. 2, 3. Sometimes I'm all thumbs and I can't seem to get my fingers to work properly. Okay. So there's that. Now let's see if it's holding all of these together. So I think I'm going to take, well, I don't want to do that. I want to leave them loose and they are held together. I'll put a little bit of glue on. So I'm just going to tie this off and I'm going to call that good. So I have a little hand stitching and I have machine stitching. It satisfies the prompt, and as long as it satisfies me, which I'm wondering if I should add some cross stitching on the pages somewhere. Let's get this down first. So I like that right there. I'm very happy with that. Let me glue that down. And I'm using the tacky glue. Put that right down there. And underneath, I'll add just a little bit of glue here. And a little bit of glue on this botanical and a little bit of glue on the flower. And then nothing should fall apart. I like to have things move around. I like to have them loose. So that is going to be too cool. I think maybe just a little spot right there. There we go. Very, very, I like. All right, now I'm thinking over here on this plate, I should add some cross stitching just down here. So I feel like I have a 1, 2, where's the third, right? So if I do 1, 2, I mean, they're kind of all in the same place, but let's go for it. I need some more brown thread. That piece I have there is too short to do anything with. So what are you doing on this Saturday? Do you have snow? Are you in the areas of winter where you get snow? Maybe you're in a different season and you're somewhere else. I don't know. Winter, it's dark. I'm always anxious and excited for spring, but yeah, I feel like I should take this winter season and relax and maybe regroup. So this is going to show through on the other side. I'm going to try hiding my knot though. I don't mind if the cross stitches show, but I'd like to hide the knot. So I'm going to just slip that knot right up in there. And then if I don't pull too hard, it won't come out. So I'm going to go, we're just going to do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Think too much and then you won't do it. There. All right, made my first stitch. Pulled my knot out. I had a feeling that could happen. Let's see if I could just gently pull it back in. If I add a little bit of glue here. Well, see, now my knot's on the back side, which is not where I wanted it anyhow. No, it's still under. There, let's see if that will hold it. All right, so. All right, this is gonna be harder than I thought. I usually can hold things in my hand, and I'm not able to do that. Let's see if we can find that hole now. Right there. Don't pull too tight so we don't pull it out. Then we need another hole here and another hole here. If I can get 3 in a row, I'll feel like I've accomplished what I want to accomplish. And then another hole here. Going back through shouldn't be as bad. And here. Is this painful to watch, guys? It should be, because I just ruined that stitch. You know what? It is what it is, and I'm not taking it out, and I'm going to go with it, and it is wonky, and does it matter? It does not really matter. Oh my gosh, you would think I'd never done cross stitching before the way this is going. That is totally wrong. Okay, time to take it out. Guys, I'm gonna do this off screen. This is pretty painful to watch, I think. There, I can't believe how long it took me to do 3 little cross stitches. Do we dare try it on another section of the page somewhere else? Yeah, I think we do. But let's just do a running stitch. Like, that's gonna be pretty hard. It's pretty close. I'm just gonna do it right here. Just gonna poke my holes. And do a very simple running stitch, right? Just so that I thought that the cross stitch would be is very simple. So I've been looking ahead at the prompts, and like there's some good ones coming up that really relate to me, such as there's a nature one, there's a layer one, there's a texture one, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're talking, guys, we're talking. Not that all these prompts I feel have been very relatable as far as easy to come up with something and not something way out there that you wouldn't be able to relate to and come up with an idea, I think. I think they've been pretty nice prompts. Thank you, Meg and Get Messy team. There we go. Now we have a little bit of hand stitching there and there. And I think that looks good. Lots of stitching going on. Now to decide about this. I am going to, I don't think that would last long. I mean, it might. It's down there pretty good. But what's it hurt if we put another piece of something there? How about if we take this? Of course, that's what that is. I was going to say this would be real nice and sturdy there because it's thicker. Or we could just go back to some of this paper here and add a bigger piece to it. And that paper is what we had. I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll add some of this right here. Tear it off at that height. Add it onto our paper plate and onto the page there. I think that would be perfect after we ink it up. Not only do I need to incorporate some more papers, because thit's ones are just getting pretty small, I need to clean up around my desk a little bit. I've kind of just been tossing things here and there, and it's time for a little pickup. Maybe I should plan that every Sunday in January. I can add some more papers and I will clean up my mess so that come the end of the month, I don't have such a big mess. Now, does that sound like a plan or what? There we go. I'll put that down. I think this is a good idea to get this down here. Let's get it folded. There we go. Ideally, if I didn't have my pages bound into my journal, I would stitch that. Okay, now am I thinking it's done. I'm thinking this looks pretty nice. I like this up here. Journaling space here, and here if I needed to. I'm going to call it quits. This isn't real pretty. Yeah, when I open this up, this is not real pretty. So I don't think I can just quit right like that. I think it needs to have, as this has like a focal point on this side, I mean, that all looks pretty. This, when you open it up, it's like, well, this is kind of not pretty, and this is kind of not pretty. So let's see what else we might want to add. I could probably come up with another of my sketched leaves. So I had scanned these leaves so that I could print them out and use them over and over again. But they were sketched, my sketched leaves with watercolor. And these are the ones that I have left. Now, if you're interested in these, just go to my Ko-fi shop, which is linked below, and you'll see them. They're free, and you could help yourself to some. So let's see what we have here. That's too big. That one's out. That one's really fussy to cut. I'm afraid this one's too big also. I think let's cut this one out and see what we think. I think it'd be okay if we layer some more papers underneath it. Maybe we'll just let this be over on this side for the journaling. We'll just let that be. And we'll just decorate up our plate, our back of our plate a little bit. So we have, oh, there's a smaller one too. Let me cut that out and then we'll decide between the two. All right, I don't feel that's big enough. Yeah, I think that one's bigger. I want to add a little cheesecloth here. I want to add a little bit of the blue threads from the fabric. I'd like to have a piece of ledger paper or just some book paper. And something with some script on it. Now, how are we doing? Is that better? I think it's much better. We'll just glue all this down, ink up around the edge of this. So the takeaway from this project would be like using what's on your desk, and especially this paper plate. Normally I would not have thought of using the paper plate for ephemera in my journal, but I had the right colors from what the mess I made with all that blue ink a day or so ago. And it's like, well, I saved the ink on the plate. I didn't throw the plate away because there was so much ink on it. I thought, well, I should be able to use that somewhere. And then when I thought of a flip out with a plate, I'm like, well, that's probably a pretty cool idea, right, guys? I mean, I don't know, thinking outside the box, paper plate for a flip out. Why not, right? Why not? And then we'll add this here. And I think a quote or a label with some numbers, you know, 2 of them. Let me put that there while I get a label and a quote. So maybe on this side of the plate, I'll add a number or the alphabet. And I think I will add both leaves just like that. And I think I really like that. Just like that. Right. A little bit of glue on here. Now, when that's open, that is not ugly. It's much better. But back here, or even here would be too much. Here is fine. This page is fine. I'm wondering if I need a quote or a word or something here. How about believe there is good? What if I cut the words? Believe there is good. Ties our pages together even a little bit better. Do we need some mark making? I think if I start, then I'm going to want to do quite a bit. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to leave this. But when I do my journaling in here, I probably will add some mark making to this page, these pages. This just needs more, and this does also. So, but I'll do that when I'm journaling. This also could be a little tuck spot here. I couldn't get much in it, but it could be. So we're going to call this done. We have a flip out with our plate. How cool is that? Paper plate flip out. I have not seen one before. So I'll hold this up so you can get a close-up view. And then down here. over here and the stitching on our flower and all those loose threads. And then we'll flip the page and we have this, the back of our plate. Thanks for joining me, guys. You have a wonderful day and we shall see you again soon. Bye now.